Hi, I'm by this window in the sun again today. It's so nice outside, and I just have a little bit of time before I have to leave here to go to the office and see clients. So I thought I would hop on and record a quick video because I've been wanting to record a video that addresses some questions that I think can show up around the topic of the inner parent. In a few videos, I've referenced the inner parent in terms of doing reparenting work with a part of us that's wounded or holding some difficult emotions, in terms of like accessing the inner parent to love on and care for these aspects of us that need reparenting or care or attention and nurturing and attunement and things like that. And this work can be so powerful. But it can be challenging if certain issues involving the inner parent aren't addressed. So I wanted to talk a little bit about those things today. So one of the issues that can show up when we try to access the inner parent to do this kind of work is that sometimes what we're actually accessing is a part that's pretending to be our inner parent. But thankfully, there is a way to know when that's happening. So when we are accessing a part that's pretending to be inner parent, what we'll often find is that that part that's trying to inner parent is impatient or judging of a part or shutting down the process or shaming in some way. The real inner parent would not do that. So anytime that you feel this arising in the work, it's a sign that you've actually accessed a part that likes to pretend to be in charge and be the inner parent. It's very common. So it does just take a moment to reset and bring your awareness to the fact that that's what's happening. This part of you might actually be used to running the show a lot and doing so out of anxiety. So that part of you might need to be worked with first before you can even proceed to work with the other part that you were going to work with. Sometimes these parts that masquerade as inner parent think that they're protecting us from something that this part is actually afraid of if they aren't in control. So just be aware of that because it can be a little confusing in the process of trying to love on a part. When you are accessing your true inner parent, the way it'll feel in your body is not fear-based. It is not shame-based. It is not constraining at all. Those emotions, if you feel them in the body, they actually close your energy down. You can kind of feel this tightening in your energetic space. It kind of feels like it's shrinking. Whereas when you're in your inner parent, you should feel expansive. You should feel really big and broad in your energy. And so something that can be really great to practice is to notice when you are in your inner parent and to memorize the way it feels in your body. So that way, when you're doing this work, you can go back to that template where you know what it felt like and reference that. And so you can slide back into that energetic space. So it's like you're scaffolding yourself. You're creating the connections in your brain and in your body that allow you to find that space again more easily. And a technique for doing that, or finding this broad, spacious inner parent place in your body and experiencing it so that you can remember what it feels like, is to meditate. Meditation, if you've ever done it and you've ever felt like you found that sweet spot where you are really in the zone, what you might have felt is very big and expansive in your energy. You can kind of feel one with the environment around you. You can feel really tapped into the broader world and community that you live in. It's a really beautiful feeling. It's a very expansive feeling in the heart space. That's the way being in your inner parent should feel. From that place, if you've ever reached it in meditation, you know you feel very grace-filled. You know that you feel very at peace and very steady. And from that place, you can inner parent aspects of you that are hurting really beautifully. You won't shame yourself. You won't shut them down. You won't tell them not to feel. None of that will be tempting to do, because this part of you is more closely in alignment with your soul. And so your soul signature, it has a lot of the same characteristics as spirit. So it's this infinite love. It's this infinite understanding and patience. So it's all these qualities that are harder to access when we're not in our inner parent space, when we're not in that ooey gooey center of who we are as a person on the inside. Another way you can access the feeling of being an inner parent is to just be out in nature. And this might be the easiest way, because when you are, say, in the forest or at the beach or something, have you ever felt just this blissful, harmonious, connected feeling? Nature has a way of drawing that out in us, and that is the same space that I'm talking about, because these moments tend to be very meditative in and of themselves. So you're accessing a similar brainwave, you're accessing a similar state of being as when you're meditating. So it's a very powerful way to remind yourself what it feels like to be in inner parent. Inner parent is big, broad, expansive, gracious, loving, patient, all those things, right? Very big heart space, heart opening energy. If you can practice tapping into that, and then when you go to do your reparenting work, it's going to go much more smoothly, because that energy wants to pour love into containers of parts, other people, the world. It is really powerful medicine. That's what we want to practice accessing. I also wanted to mention that sometimes, even in inner parent space, people can feel at a loss or overwhelmed with the task of loving on a very wounded part. Because sometimes people, when growing up, they just never really got a chance to experience enough examples of what it felt like to be parented in a loving, gracious, expansive, patient way. So there's not a template to draw on. So what I love to say when this happens, and this is for people who do feel comfortable talking about God, spirit, is that you don't have to do this work alone. Ultimately, when you are in your inner parent, you are tapping into a bigger source energy, God energy. That's what you're accessing when you're taking the walk in the woods or you're meditating. So when you're doing this work, it's the same thing. If you're feeling constrained in your human ability to really pour that kind of love and care into a wounded part, you can imagine opening yourself up to receive that energy from a bigger source, from the bigger source that you believe in, from spirit, the universe, God, whatever it is that you like to draw energy and support and strength from. Imagine opening yourself up to that, the ultimate parent energy, essentially, and letting it flow into you. You're the vessel, you're the channel, into you and through you to this wounded part. In other words, it's not really you doing the work. You're just opening yourself up to receive that inner parent love from a broader source. You're tapping into that vibration that exists out there and also in here, because you're a part of that. But you're pulling it in, and then you're harnessing it like a channel, and you're directing it at the wound. You're directing it at the wounded part of you. You're not really the one doing the work. And I think that takes some pressure off, because when we think we're doing the work, we can feel really inadequate. Or we might feel like, how do I step into such a big role? How do I find that place? And so if it feels overwhelming at any time, I've found it really helpful to take the pressure off of it being me doing it. If that helps, I think it was really worth mentioning, because our biggest wounds are attachment-based wounds oftentimes. And attachment-based wounds were formed in the relationship when we were young between ourselves and our parent. So it is in relationship that we heal that, because it was in relationship that the wound was made. That's why this work is relational in nature. It's you as inner parent in relationship with this part of you, aka it's spirit in relationship with you as it flows through you. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. Have a great day. I will record a new one soon. Bye.